Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Halo Effect. I am your host, Robert Lockhart. Before we really get into it, I want to say that I'm not only going to talk about the Angels, I'm going to talk about all 30 teams. I feel like it's really beneficial for all Angels fans, those who don't exactly know where the players are coming from. It kind of helps. So, I will touch on all 30 teams. So, with that said, I will say, first of all, look at all the managers we have now. Seven new managers. Stephen Vogt going into his rookie season as a manager. From what I understand, he was a pretty good catcher. He not the greatest hitter, but defensively he was very good. Carlos Mendoza, same thing, coming over from the Yankees as a bench coach to be the manager for the New York Mets. Then we got Craig Counsell, who is a veteran manager in his own right, going from Milwaukee to the Cubs. Personally, I think David Ross was doing a pretty good job with the Cubs, but I guess if they needed an extra boost, can't go wrong with Craig Counsell. He's very good. Pat Murphy's actually going to take over for him as manager in Milwaukee. Mike Shildt is going to take over as manager of the San Diego Padres after Bob Melvin went up north to San Francisco. Padres fans, I'm going to tell you this. Mike Shildt did very good when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals, so I really think you got yourself a pretty golden manager here. He's going to do very well. Joe Espada, the bench coach for the Astros, now going to be their manager, taking over for the retiring Dusty Baker. I will say to Dusty Baker, congratulations. You were one heck of a manager. You finally got your World Series victory. Savor it, man, because in about 5 years, Cooperstown's calling. You will be a Hall of Fame manager. Now, also around baseball, in Miami, Kim Ng is out as general manager. Personally, I thought she did a pretty good job. You know, everyone was all saying the first woman manager in the major leagues. Now she's gone after doing a pretty good job. Can't imagine what was going on there. However, they are bringing in Peter Bendix from Tampa Bay. Now, anybody and everybody knows that the people that came from Tampa Bay, anybody who learned under Andrew Friedman, man, are they smart. They are really good at what they do. So, Miami, I think this may very well be good for you. Uh, one guy I know I got to touch on, being an Angels fan, Billy Epler, no longer with the New York Mets. Guys, let me tell you, this is a blessing in disguise. 5 years he spent with the Angels. I think he set him back 7 or 8. I say thank God for Perry Manazian. I think he's brought him a little bit closer to that particular mark. So, like I said, blessing in disguise. That guy was going to wreck your team. I guarantee it. So, elsewhere, Texas Rangers. First World Series victory in your franchise history. Congratulations. Be aware, next year you may very well witness the World Series hangover, as they call it. Whether you guys do well, don't know, make the playoffs. But remember, it's very difficult to repeat as World Series champions. So get on your horses, guys. Philadelphia Phillies came very close. Very good team, doing very well. Ran into a bit of an issue when it came to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, they're a very young team, very strong and up and coming. My guess is they just took everyone by surprise, and Philadelphia just wasn't ready for it. But Philadelphia is still a very strong team. You got Aaron Nola back for the next 7 years. Congratulations on that one. You know, that's the head of your rotation. Andrew Painter can be that for you when he makes his debut, but unfortunately, it looks like he's not going to do that till about 2025 with that arm injury of his. So, he's going to need time to recover. He's going to need time to reacclimate, kind of dust the rust off, and he's going to most likely be doing that in the minor leagues. Tampa Bay, honestly, that was kind of my pick at the very beginning of the season for them to go all the way and become their World Series champions for the first time. But through the course of the season, What can I say? Injuries happen. When you have to have 3 members of your starting rotation need Tommy John surgery, Halos fans, I think you remember those days. We had that problem too. Um, it's a pain in the ass. What can I say? Uh, but Tampa Bay can definitely come back very, very strong with their pitching intact. The second they lost Shane McClanahan to that shoulder injury, yeah, that's basically spelled doom for them. So, with that said, I say look out for them next season because they're going to come back with a vengeance. I guarantee it. Now, with that said, let's talk Angels baseball, shall we? Now, remember, like I said, Ron Washington's in, Phil Nevin's out. Now, personally, I think this is a good thing. Not to say that Phil Nevin was a bad manager. He's obviously not. He's definitely has potential. There are certain aspects of the game that I think he's missing. Just situational stuff, things here, things there. Utilizing his bullpen pieces too much, not mixing it up a little bit. Didn't really utilize what Ron Washington likes to call small ball. We all know what small ball is. For those that don't, that's basically little things, sacrificing, base stealing, just a lot of base running, getting on base, stuff like that. Not worrying about gaps, not worrying about home runs. Basically, getting on base, utilizing the base pass, sacrificing, all that kind of jazz. That's what we call small ball. For those of you who didn't know. Uh, anyway, Nevin, I think he needs to learn under a veteran manager. Far as I know, Mike Schilt's still building his coaching staff. So, hey, Schilt, hint, hint. Phil Nevin could be your bench coach. Actually, it's not really much of a hint. That's flat out telling you. Make him your bench coach. Teach him everything you know. Help him become a better manager. So, like I said, he's got the respect of all the players. He just needs to understand the situational stuff and how that goes. Anyway, helping a team really gel is another big part of that. And I think Mike Schill can really teach him how to do that. So, anyway, but that's that. Like I said, Washington, he was the manager for Texas from 2007 to 2014. In those years, 6 years, they were a 90-plus win team. So that's already works in his favor. And he had some good talent to deal with. He's got great talent to deal with here, too. Mike Trout, duh. An emerging Mickey Moniak, Anthony Rendon. If he can stay on the field, Anthony, dude, if I were you, I would really start looking at calisthenics and yoga. Okay, man? Get yourself stretched out a little bit better and stay on the field. Let's see if you can play more than 60 games this season, huh? Anyway, moving forward, his coaching staff. Some of the guys that he's hired, Barry Enright is our new pitching coach. Wasn't the greatest pitcher in the world. However, one thing that kind of works in his favor is he was the Arizona Diamondbacks assistant pitching coach the last couple of years, learning under Strom. So if he can have the same kind of effect for the Angels pitching staff, that's a very good thing. That's actually a really good thing because you take a look at the Diamondbacks pitching staff, they're very good. And he handled the bullpen pieces, the relievers. And if you remember correctly, the Diamondbacks relievers are still really good. Very few times did they blow games. Very few times did they blow leads and stuff like that. They pretty much held their own. Did very, very well. They must have. They made it to the World Series. Hello. Now, they don't have an assistant pitching coach yet to assist Barry Enright. So we'll see what comes of that. Personally, I would hope to, again, find a guy who knows how to pitch, knows the ins and outs of it, knows how to work the corners, and teach the guys how to do so. So I'll leave that to Menasy and Washington to do that one. Johnny Washington. no relation to Ron, obviously, um, is the hitting coach. And see, here's the hitting coach for the San Diego Padres in 2017, 2018, and 2019. If you take a look at their batting averages through those years, didn't really have a lot working for them. They didn't hit well. Not really one of them hit above 260, to be honest with you. That's not a good thing. Uh, until, of course, Fernando Tatis made his debut in 19, and he was pretty much the only one who actually hit well. He hit above 300 for the year, and he did well. And if you take a look around the rest of their lineup, they also had guys like Franmil Reyes, who's an all or nothing type of hitter. Hunter Renfroe, same thing. Yeah, they had a lot of guys who just were not great hitters, flat out. They really have no decent plate discipline. They chase a lot of swing and miss in that game. An aging Ian Kinsler was a member of that team. Wasn't the same player as he had been in the past. So, you can't really bog him down for that, because you basically had guys who were just like, past their prime or not really that great. So, personally, let's see what he can do. Assistant hitting coach to assist Johnny Washington is Tim Laker, who was the Seattle hitting coach from 2019 and 2021. Same issue. He had some of his guys do well, some of the guys not so much. In this particular case, again, some of the guys did well, some of the guys not so much. But then again, much like the Padres, they had guys who were talented and guys who weren't. So from that, again, we can just see what happens at this point. Jerry Narron is going to be the catching coach. Bo Porter is going to be the first base coach, the former manager for the Astros. He managed the Astros for a while. One of the guys that I really have a lot of interest in is going to be our new third base coach, and that's Eric Young. For those who are old enough to remember Eric Young, he was a very disruptive base runner. Whenever he got on base, people worried about him like they worried about Henderson, like they worried about Lou Brock back in the day. He's just a very disruptive base stealer, which is why I believe you're going to see a lot more base stealing from the Angels this year. And they got plenty of guys who are capable of doing so. Now, with that said, I'm going to go back a little bit and just kind of mention, build a little bit more on what I was talking about with where the Angels are from the Epler era to now the Manassian era. I don't want anybody to get me wrong. Billy Epler, I'm sure he's a great guy. He's probably a very smart executive. I find him to be a poor general manager. He doesn't know how to scout. He doesn't know how to strategically build a team in any way, shape, or form. He did very, very poorly. For the Angels fans who remember, he did two really good things. Two good things in 5 years. He signed Mike Trout long term. Mike Trout will end his career with the Angels. And he brought Shohei Ohtani to the Angels from Japan. Those were two excellent moves. So I'll give the devil his due. I applaud you for that one. He got lucky twice. His first year as general manager, when he was going into the draft, the Angels needed to start drafting some future outfielders to go along with Mike Trout. They didn't really have anything to go along with him. So, who does he draft? Taylor Ward, number one. Uh, he got lucky on that one because, let's face it, Taylor Ward is an all-star outfielder now. But for those of you who remember, he was drafted as a catcher, and he was not very good. And there really was no rhyme or reason into drafting him. Billy Epler himself said he's a great catch and throw guy. That was your reason. Okay. Great catch and throw guy with your first round pick. When everybody and their brother was basically telling you you could get him in the third round. Because you basically drafted a backup catcher. That's what you did. Now, to Ward's credit, he realized his shortcomings and said, okay, this is not working for me. So he tried a corner infield position. He tried third base. The second he stepped over to third base and got out of the catcher's gear, oh man, did he start raking like crazy. He started hitting the ball left and right. Granted, he came up short a lot, but hey, at times he hit a lot of atom balls. What can I say? Anyway, then he eventually tried the outfield, and he's flourished from there. So he's become a very good outfielder for the Angels. So, hey, Epler, you got lucky on that one. The second place he got lucky was when he traded for Andrelton Simmons. For those of you who remember, before Simmons came to the Angels with the Braves, he was all glove, no bat. He was a Gold Glove shortstop, but he couldn't hit the ball to save his life. He always hit well below 220, and it's like you're trading our starting shortstop and our top pitching prospect for a guy who's a good glove, and that's it. What were you thinking? Now, again, it turned out to be a great deal because our top pitching prospect turned into nothing, and Simmons became an all-star shortstop because he started raking like crazy. Started hitting doubles on a constant basis, always good in the clutch, a great two-strike hitter, and you can always count on him to come through. Hey, that's a great player. We were happy to have him. So, again, I will give the devil his due, but you got lucky on those. Everything else, he was an abject failure. Like I said, 2015, 2016, he needed to draft outfielders to complement Mike Trout. He didn't do that. He drafted Taylor Ward as a catcher, and he drafted Matt Thaiss. And his reason for Thaiss was his bat is what's going to get him to the major leagues. Maybe want to actually do some actual scouting rather than reading scouting reports. If you had done that, you would see that he doesn't hit the ball very hard. He hits lazy fly balls that fall in for hits, CNI singles, stuff like that. And as you can clearly tell, he's not really emerged as a top player in any way, shape, or form. He's a backup catcher right now, is what he is. And you used our first round pick on him. Good job, Billy. So, going into 2017, around this time, our pitching staff is starting to wind down. Their contracts are starting to come up, and what we need to do is start drafting our future rotation pieces. We have the number 10 overall pick, a top 10 pick. And on the market was a guy perfect for this team. A head of rotation type. He had 6 different pitches that he could throw for strikes. He had great control for a prep pitcher. And, with developmental time, that control gets better. And the guy I'm referring to is Shane Baz. He went 2 picks later to the Pittsburgh Pirates and is now a member of the Tampa Bay rotation. Just recently had to have Tommy John surgery, but for those of us who actually saw him before he had to have Tommy John surgery, man, did he do good. He looked really good. Side note, Tampa Bay, you guys are going to have Glass now. You're going to have McClanahan back. You're going to have Boz. That's a three-headed monster right there for your rotation. Give Boz some time. He's going to shake it off a little bit of rest. He'll be fine. But, again, he's ahead of the rotation type, which is what the Angels needed at the time. And who'd you draft? Joe Dell. Okay. Let's think about this for a second. You need to start drafting pitchers you didn't. You drafted an outfielder, which is what you should have done 2 years prior. And the guy you choose had a scouting report, and I quote, very athletic, lots of power on the pro side. On the con side, has trouble catching up to a major league average fastball. Cannot recognize a breaking ball. He's done a little bit better with that first one. He can catch up to a major league average fastball a lot more decently now. Still not great. He still can't recognize a breaking ball. This is a guy we spent our first round pick on. A top 10 pick. If you'd read a scouting report, this is a guy you probably could have had in the second or third round, if at all. Major bust. Huge bust. Now, the second rounder we got was Griffin Canning. He's doing a lot better now. Still not ahead of the rotation type. The very next year, in 2018, again, we still need to start drafting pitchers. We still need a pitching staff going into the future. A really good pitcher available in Brady Singer. Who do you choose? Jordan Adams, another outfielder. And very low on the totem pole, I might add. You know, this is a guy who is still in the minors, still struggling to hit. And Brady Singer is he's the head of the Kansas City rotation. Although he's had his bumps and bruises, he still has good stuff. And we're missing out on that. Thanks, Billy. Again, just the only good draft pick you really made was Reed Detmers. And Detmers is still not ahead of the rotation type. He's a 3, 4, 5 in a rotation, which is good. You know, we need those guys too, but we have no head of the rotation right now. We have absolutely nobody to take over a head of rotation. Unless, of course, we can bring Ohtani back, which is vital. That is very vital. So, what I'm going to do is basically leave it at that. I will touch on more in the future, possibly next week. I will say, it's vital that we bring Ohtani back, because even though he's not going to pitch this next season, he has been vital to this team the last 6, and we cannot lose out on him. So whatever we have to do, if we have to clear salary, we have a pitcher in Tyler Anderson who we don't really need. We can send him packing. We could probably get something decent for him in a trade. We have a massive money pit in Anthony Rendon, who I say dump him if we can, but that's too big of a salary to dump, and it's just not going to work, unfortunately. So we got to figure something out. I think we have plenty of cap space. So, Paramedian, I'm begging you. Sign him. Do whatever you have to do, but sign him. Please. I'm going to leave it with that, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all next week. Take care. Go Angels.